Welcome to our lesson on working with details. The detail tool is found in our toolbox under Documents. Down here at the bottom, the detail tool. The detail tool is used to generate a detail drawing viewpoint from the model by placing a detail marker in any of the floor plan, section, elevation, interior elevation, 3D document, worksheet, or detail window views. It's also used to place linked detail markers as a reference to any viewpoint, view, or drawing. The detail marker is a GDL object, and it's displayed according to the settings we make in the Detail Settings dialog box. We can access that from here. Or by double-clicking on the detail tool. The detail viewpoints are displayed in a dedicated detail drawing window, and they're listed in the detail part of the Navigator project map. And we'll close out of some of these, and this is where we will find any details that we create. As of yet, we haven't created any, so we'll get into that just a little bit later. One of the most important things you should know about details is that they are viewpoints generated from existing elements in the project and are 2D only copies of these elements. These viewpoints can be updated to reflect changes in the plan, and we can add additional 2D elements, text, labels, and objects. Once we've created a 2D detail, we may want to go into line work and fill consolidation, separate functions, and that will help us to eliminate redundant and duplicate lines, etc., and make editing the 2D detail simpler. Let's take a look at some of the default settings. We'll start at the top. First, we have the general settings, which is the reference ID. This is default. This comes automatically. D-01, that'll be the first detail, and then they're sequentially numbered after that. We can also give the detail a name. We can create a new detail viewpoint. We can place a linked marker or place an unlinked marker. We can select the marker to reference the first place drawing of the viewpoint or the viewpoint. We can select copy construction elements only. If we select that, certain things like text will be turned off. Here we have some parameters that we can work with on the marker. We can select the built-in detail marker, no marker, or a variety of others. This is a preview and will show us the selected marker. Here you can see D01 detail. Detail, once we place this on a sheet, will show the sheet that it's on. Here's another detail indicator. Here's the detail marker simple, part marker, detail marker 12. We're going to use the built-in detail marker. Here we can change the font, type, size, pen color, and various other parameters that we just select and fill in as desired. We can have a horizontal marker, or we can have an angled marker, and we can fill in the angle if we select the angled marker. We can pick from various marker head styles, and we can select vertical text, we can select whether on the referred drawing that we show the reference ID, show the name, show the drawing ID, the second row of text, show the name, or show the layout. Here we select the layer for the detail marker. All standard stuff, pretty much the same as some of our other markers and tools. Alright, with the detail tools selected, we have several different methods for placing a marker. We have the no boundary, the polygon, the rectangle, and the rotated rectangle, similar to other markers and drawing tools in ARCHICAD. If we use the no boundary method, we'll select the rectangular method and we click to start, and then we draw out our rectangle, and then with the hammer we'll place our marker. Now if we go into details, we have our D-01 detail, and if we double click on that, that'll bring up the section that we outlined in the separate window. And if you notice here, now we're broken down into lines and fills. At this stage we could start putting in, say, our labels. Or any other information or details that we want to draw on this particular detail. We could also, at this point, select everything on the plan and go into Edit, Reshape, Line Work Consolidation. We have a bunch of different options here that we've covered on a different part of this DVD, and we'll click Next. Just to run through it real quick. After running through those menus, a consolidation summary comes up. We've deleted duplicates, connecting lines, overlapping lines, identical lines, etc. Click Close, and now we won't have any problems with duplicate lines or fills that may give us problems. We can also create a detail within a detail. So with the tools selected and the rectangular method, we can focus in further on any area of the plan. And now you see we have a detail within the detail. If we go into our layout book under details, and create a new layout, call that details. Now we can drag and drop these details onto our page. And if we go back to our floor plan, details 1 and 2, now we're showing that this is detail 1 on page A501. And if we go into the detail window on detail 1, you'll notice that we are now showing this as detail 2 on A501. And if we happen to move those from one page to another or what have you, it will automatically update these markers accordingly. We can also right-click on Details and select New Independent Detail. Here's our reference ID, and we can also give it a name, and then click Create. You'll notice our icon for this is different from the other details. This is the icon for an independent detail. And with our independent detail, we can say bring in a PDF detail or a DWG detail from another source, drop it in here, and then we can go back to our detail page and have it placed on our layout. We'll go back to our first floor plan. We can also go into Options, Project Preferences, Miscellaneous, and check Create Detail Worksheet Boundary and Detail Worksheet Window. We can also create a detail from a section or elevation. Let's open a section here, and say we want to do some further work on detailing this stem wall and footer with the detail tool selected. Place our marker. Again, if we go back into our navigator, you'll see that we have a slightly different icon for this detail. This is the icon for a detail of a section. We can also drag and drop that onto the plan or onto the page. We can select it, go into drawing selections, and we can increase the size. If we're not particular about the scale, we can grab it and stretch it to any size we'd like. Now we have an uncommon scale, but if we were to go in and open the source view, and say we wanted to put in a couple of dimensions. Go back to our detail sheet. Select update. Once modified in the source view, making sure that all the proper layers are turned on, we can update this, and as you can see now we've got our 2 foot by 1 foot 4 footer, and if we stretch that, even though it's not any particular scale, the dimensions will remain the same. Okay, now you'll notice that we have placed these details without naming them, which you would normally do when we're creating the detail. But this will show you that we can rename that detail at any time. We'll open the source view. All right, we'll go into our project map. We'll go into that first detail and come down to rename detail. And we'll call that detail bath, or let's call it master bath. Click rename, and now you'll see that that's updated to the master bath. We can do that with this one and call it master bath water closet. And on the independent detail, we'll call that stem wall detail. Oh, sorry. stem wall detail. Alright, we're back on our floor plan. If we go back here to our general selection settings, where we either create a new detail viewpoint or place a linked marker or unlinked marker, so far what we've been doing is creating a new detail viewpoint. But what about this linked marker? What does that do for us? Now say we've already created a detail, but we want to refer to that detail from some other section of the plan, meaning that it's the same detail but we want to reference it in several different places. For instance, we have a threshold detailed for a door and we want to use that same detail. We can place a linked marker referencing that detail wherever we have that same threshold throughout the plan. So if we place a linked marker, then we'll have to go down and we'll have to reference that particular detail that we've already created. One other thing worth noting is if we're creating a new detail viewpoint, we can have the marker reference the viewpoint or the first placed drawing of the viewpoint. Generally speaking, we're going to go with the first place drawing of the viewpoint. That means that the marker detail is going to refer to the first drawing that we put on our layout sheet. Something else worth noting is that if for some reason we don't want to see this rectangular box, we can go into View, On-Screen View Options, and deselect Marker Range. And that will turn that off. But if we select the detail, it'll come back on, and if we want to edit it, we can, with Move Sub-Element selected in our Pet palette, now with that marker range turned off, if I select, I cannot edit that marker. So what we have to do is we have to go back into View, On-Screen View Options, turn the marker range back on, and at that point we can move a node and that will adjust the marker range. Also worth noting, with the detail selected, we could go into detail selection settings. We can change the marker line type. We can also go into marker geometry and change the polygon line type, and we can make that a dashed line, and now we have a dashed line there. This bounding box, which actually gives us the limits of the detail, will not print. Alright, let's look at some other ways that we can work with details. Let's go into our layout book, and I'm going to create another new layout. But this time I'm going to use this master layout right here with the NCS grid. Rename it Details. And create. Now I want you to notice what happens when we take this master bath designated detail 1 and we bring it into this sheet here. Now we open that sheet up, and you'll notice that we've got a designation now of 1C. Let's say we were going to place it down in the lower right corner of this plan. Now we've picked up a designation of 4A based on the lower left corner of our grid system. Now if I go back to the floor plan, you'll see that our marker detail has updated, and now we're calling that 4A on page A501. Now, something else that we should explore is bringing in details from other projects. So let's look at how we can do that. We're going to go into Project Chooser here and Show Organizer. And in Organizer, on the right hand side we've got our layout book, and the left side we've got our project map. But this is the project map and a layout book from this same existing file here. One thing we can do in ARCHICAD, if we go into Project Chooser here, we can browse for another project. So we can go into an old project. Okay, so say we want to bring in a detail from a new project or an existing project. We're going to go into Project Chooser, and we're going to go down to Show Organizer. Our Organizer Layout Editor comes up. Now here we have our layout book for this project and our view map or project map, but they're both from the same file. Now something else that ARCHICAD allows us to do is we can go into Project Chooser over here, and we can browse through our files, or say go into a recent project that we have a detail that we'd like to draw from. And we can find that detail either in our view map or layout book. Here we have some details. I'm not sure what these are, but we can say drag this detail 1 onto our layout sheet. And if we close that, we can see that we now have that detail on our layout sheet. We can bring it up here to get a better look. And that's one way to bring in a detail from another project. Okay, now that done, say we want to edit this detail. Well, if we right click, we can open the external source view. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring up the project that we imported this detail from. So if we edit it here, it's going to edit it in the other project. We may not want to do that. So this is really not the best way to bring in a detail from another project. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete that detail. And we're going to So we go to File, Open, and we click on Launch a new instance of ARCHICAD because we don't want to close out the file that we're working on. And we find the file that we want. And we double click on that. Okay, we're going to bring up a separate instance of ARCHICAD, and I've skipped over for time-saving purposes what we need to do to go through all that. So here's another project, and we can go down to our, say, Detail 5 drawing. Bring that up on the screen. And select everything in that drawing. Of course, the easy thing would be to do is copy and paste. But if we copy and paste into our other project, we're going to bring in all the layers that are associated with that. So what can we do to avoid that and polluting our other project with layers from this project? Now if you notice, as we go through here, we've got different things on different layers. And what we want to do is we want to put this all on one layer. The best layer to put this on is the ARCHICAD layer. So again, with everything highlighted, we're going to go into Edit, Element Settings, Edit Selection Set. Now, I've already got ARCHICAD layer selected. If I select OK, we still have different things on different layers. So what we have to do is Edit, Element Settings, Edit Selection Set. Let's change this to anything, say Figures for now. Select OK. And then we'll do it again. Edit, Element Settings, Edit Selection Set, and put this back to ARCHICAD layer and OK. Now as I go through here, everything's on the ARCHICAD layer. So at this point we can copy that. We'll minimize this. Now we're back to our original project. And we click Paste. Select original location and zoom the pasted element. We'll move this up into that section there. Now, this particular detail may not have any relevance to this project, but this will work for demonstration purposes. And now we can edit that here. Or the other thing that we can do is we can go into Details and make a new independent worksheet. Let's call that test. Create that. Now with our new independent worksheet, we can paste, and again, as we click on the different elements in this, they all come up as ARCHICAD layer. And if we go back to our detail sheet, let's take all this and delete it. Go back to our project map and take our test detail on that independent worksheet and drop it in. go down here and fit that frame to the drawing. We have our notation 1C. And if we were to edit something on this, on our detail sheet, and go back to our layout, you'll see that that edit automatically updated. Same thing can be done with a DWG file. We'll take a look at doing that. First thing we'll do is we'll go into details and make a new layout sheet. We'll call that DWG. Now we can go into File, File Special, Merge, File, File Special, Merge, let's pick this wall section. Alright, so in our project map, we'll make another new independent detail. Call that page test 2. Now we go into File, File Special, Merge, we have some DWG files here. Let's pick this one, Wall Sections. Merge, skip all, merge, and we can drop our drawing into place. And now we have some wall section details here.